The Blob is a movie that holds a little bit of nostalgia for me. When I was in high school, I took a couple of dual enrollment classes at the local community college, and one of those classes was called Scientific Themes in Film, basically analyzing movies like the original Frankenstein, Alien, Waterworld. Yes, really, I had to watch Waterworld for a college class. Yes, and that was my first time watching it. And The Blob, basically watching these sci-fi and fantasy films and writing papers about them, essentially. It kind of predicted this channel, sort of, kind of. And I loved it. I'd love to take that class again. But The Blob was a part of the curriculum. And so when planning out ScaryMania IV, I had always wanted to go back to it, and so I decided to put it on the docket. And unfortunately, this movie doesn't hold up super well. This movie was not produced by Fox or Universal or any studio. It was an independent feature directed by Irvin Yeaworth. It was his second film as a director, and this movie was released as a double bill along with a movie called I Married a Monster from Outer Space. Not gonna lie, that's gonna be a future Scary Mania video. You can count on that. It tells the story of a group of teenagers who are doing their 1950s teenager thing until an alien falls from outer space in the form of, well, let's just call it Mr. Bubbles if he got injected with a super soldier serum. The Blob consumes literally everything, and it's up to the teenagers to stop it, and with no help from the completely apathetic townspeople. This movie is primarily known for one thing. This was one of, if not the first films that a little actor named Steve McQueen starred in. This was, if not his debut, it was one of the first films he ever made. In my research, I found that McQueen was given the option of taking a $3,000 fee up front as a commission of sorts, or forego the fee and just take 10% of the movie's profits. McQueen was a starving artist in this era, and he desperately needed the money for food, so he took the former. And, well, let's just say The Blob made $4 million on a $100,000 production budget. I'm not going to cry too hard for Mr. McQueen, though. Needless to say, the man would go on to do very well for himself. Really, my favorite part about this movie is the town that it takes place in. I love the 50s aesthetic, the cars, the food. I love that atmosphere. It kind of reminds me of this restaurant in Disney's Hollywood Studios. It's called the 50s Sci-Fi Drive-In Restaurant. I'll put it in the lower third. I've talked about it on this channel before somewhere, I know for certain. But one time that I was there, The Blob was playing there. So The Blob just kind of follows me around. But I love the 50s aesthetic, the cars, the music, the food, and all of that. And this is just dripping in 50s aesthetic. And no, that's not a fact. That's not a whole thing with the Blob dripping everywhere. It just, first thing that came to head. I was routinely frustrated with just how dumb these townspeople are. Just basically saying that no to these teenagers when these teenagers know for a fact that there is, like, this bubble gum gone awry, just swallowing up everything in town, and they're just like, kids these days. I'm just sitting there like, there's no way that you people wouldn't at least be a little concerned that the pink slime from Ghostbusters 2 is basically just running amok around here. Somehow this movie is in the Criterion Collection, and in the little booklet provided, it basically talks about how the movie acts as commentary for the consumerism and just general greed of the 1950s. Okay, sure. I mean, that's one way of looking at a movie about basically what happens when that weird pink hot sauce that came popular for a hot minute became sentient. But hey, what do I know? I recommend it if you're a McQueen fan or if you're into the 50s, but otherwise, you can skip this. I know there is a remake. I definitely want to check that one out.